Fellow Democrats, it's Michael Blake, candidate for DNC Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Participation. Before I go into why this role is so critical, it's important for us to talk about what's happening in the country. So, as attacks are happening against us as a people, let me start by reminding all of us that we will emerge stronger from this moment. And while Republicans don't want to honor Black history, including our Tuskegee Airmen, as you can see behind me, I honor us and our airmen every single day here in my home. Checking in just to clarify a few things as you make final decisions on your national officers and specifically this role. First, the role is Vice Chair of Civic Engagement and Voter Participation, not protection in its title. Now, let's be clear, protecting the vote is a part of participation, but we need people to vote for us before we can protect the vote. And people have been asking and wondering, well, how do you do this job while having another job? And I lovingly say that without the exception of our chair and some full-time chairs, all of us are still putting food on the table for our families and working a job and giving back. And while we have a full-time job, we still have a full-time love for our party. We can do both and do both incredibly well. And as someone who speaks about chronos versus kairos, it's not just about moments and amount of time. It's about who is best prepared to create the best moments for us to win in the time that we have. So as we are losing the working class and young people and Black and brown men in particular, I'm running for this specific role of civic engagement and voter participation because we have to accomplish at least three things. We have to show people that government and civics matters to their lives to make their lives better. We have to get people to vote again, and then we have to get people to vote for us as Democrats again. So some, again, are rightfully asking, given the magnitude of the issues and the challenges, how can you do so many things at the same time? And I jokingly say I'm Jamaican. I'm used to having 3 jobs, or if we're in patois, tree jobs. Any great leader such as you and every single one of us that are doing democratic roles have multiple priorities, from working your full-time job to being a full-time parent, from leading at your church to volunteering in your community. We understand that we put together the right team for the right plan for the right future. President Clinton once said that shared values with shared responsibilities lead to shared benefits. And I'm speaking with you right now because we need better results, and I accept that responsibility, which is why I'm asking for your vote to be the Vice Chair of Civic Engagement Voter Participation. It's an approach of the STAR method: situation, timeline, action, and results. The situation is that we are losing working class voters, rural voters as well, small business communities, people of faith that don't believe that we are actually listening, young people, and Black and brown communities, in particular Black and brown men. Timeline. It's been the last few cycles, if we're being honest. We got to be real with ourselves. And so more greatly than ever, we're seeing it in Trump victories, but it was happening throughout. So the proposed actions are how I would bring a different plan for success. For civic engagement, we must show Americans again that government matters to them. We're seeing it firsthand in California. Similarly, as we saw before with Katrina, or here in New York after Superstorm Sandy. From recovering from a fire or a flood to lowering the cost of prescription drug costs, which Trump didn't do in his executive orders, to actually helping people pay their bills, we should be using technology and influencers to create a new Schoolhouse Rock 2.0 so that there's civic mobilization that explains from the city council to Congress, from State House to the White House, every person's lives are better from government. We'll use the same tool to give out clear information and a pipeline for peer-to-peer groups. That's WhatsApp and GroupMe and Signal and Telegram. So we can explain the devastating impacts of the Trump agenda, such as raising prescription drug costs so that you go to a pharmacy, you're going to pay more, or the impact of deporting our immigrant brothers and sisters, which is creating fear in our communities. I understand that we are exhausted already from Trump, but we can't walk away now. And that means me, like you, make those decisions of how are we giving back to make sure that we are getting more people to participate in the process. If you believe that government works, then we have a chance to show people how we get back to work. Now, within that, as I mentioned earlier, voter protection is a part of this process. So that means using technology for good, for better information. That means regaining our young voters to be a part of the process. But it also means that we have to elect state legislators and people for boards of elections and secretaries of state and attorneys general so that we can protect our vote in the midst of the process of getting people to vote. So that we're not consistently in a scenario as we were this past cycle, where we spent so much time preparing for scenario planning after the election, we weren't helping get people to vote for the election. So voter participation. Trump going to a barbershop doesn't show that he gets it, but us losing black and brown men show that they don't think we get it either. And yes, Republicans are banning books, but it doesn't show that we're connected to young people if we're the ones banning TikTok. So let's reimagine how we get people back in the game with small business and rural and faith so that our councils actually see that we're listening. It also means that we have to go to where voters are at. Even if you personally don't listen to that podcast or watch that show, it doesn't matter if you don't listen to Joe Rogan or if you don't use TikTok, someone else is. And as we understand that that's a new form of the game of information, let's get in the game. So long as we continue to ignore the obvious truth that we are losing black and brown communities and young people and working class, we will lose at our own peril. So I'm ready to win if you are as well. From New York to Native American to Northern Mariana Islands, we still believe that we can help people get a job, for that is who we are. From Cali to Champaign, Illinois to Cuyahoga in Ohio, we still believe that we listen and we don't judge. Some of y'all picked up on that, for that is who we are. From Miami to Michigan to the wild counties of Wisconsin to the collar counties of Southeast Pennsylvania, we have to show people that we are here to fight for people, not for pardons, but for the people, for that is who we are. And that means that we can't be silent in the midst of what's happening right now. Your officers are your national armor bearers to go out and communicate why people should be voting for us, to go on TV, to fundraise, to mobilize, to train, to organize, and to get people back in the game. Dr. King said it best. He said, in the end, we remember not the words of our enemies, but the silence of our friends. So we can't be silent in this moment because people need to know that we're going to fight for them and fight with them, but fight so we make sure that we win. That means that you could say that I'm a man and a feminist at the same time. That means that you're not going to be silent about rural or urban or suburban communities because we all have to win together. That means you're not going to say that Latinos are monolithic because they're not. We're not going to say that black people only care about criminal justice because we don't. We're not going to say that women only vote because of reproductive justice because you vote for more than that. And that TV ads don't tell the full story, that knocking on doors and making phone calls and mobilizing people is how we actually win. Don't be silent that we are the party that still believes in civic engagement to get greater participation. That if we understand that, demographics can be our destiny, but we have to fact check when we have a 34-time lying convicted felon that's still the champion of the world that's trying to tell people that you shouldn't believe in misinformation that's coming before them. People don't want for us to just bicker and fight, but they want to know that we're going to knuck if you buck and fight for them. So we're fighters, and that's why I'm running for this role. So if you're ready to get back in the game and fight for justice and fight for opportunity and fight for us to win, you have elected me once before as a DNC vice chair at large. I'm asking for the opportunity to be a civic engagement and voter participation vice chair because we have a chance to change the game for the better. We should be utilizing gamers so we can actually counter what's happening in the chats where we see Republican nonsense being kicked out there. We should have sports and entertainment as a strategy because 93 of the top 100 shows were NFL football games and an award show in college football as well. If people are going to let's say Friday Night Lights or all the different opportunities that exist right now and making sure that high school football and college football and homecomings are part of the process, why would we not be there as well? I'm a child of God and a child of the Bronx. I'm a son of labor. I'm a son of Jamaican immigrants. I'm a reverend. I'm a leader, but I'm one of you. And so I'm asking you right now, when we understand who we are losing and who we need to get back, ask yourself, who is best prepared to go and get them? As a brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, a Prince Hall Mason, 100 black men, all these different communities that we can mobilize and organize to win. I'm asking for the chance once again. So I'm Michael Blake, and I ask for your vote to be the next vice chair of civic engagement and voter participation. If you are ready to change the game, so am I. Let's go.